We are back with another Ryze Rewind. We are going to take y'all back and talk about some 2026 names that stood out this summer, starting with Harris Reynolds out of St. Pius. This is a guy you got to watch, you got to see, and you got to break down his film.
Yeah, I got to watch Harris a couple times, both in the high school in June in the high school live period, and then again I watched him at Under Armour a few times. And during the high school event, I got to see him as the main guy of that roster. Got to see him score off the bounce. I got to see his athleticism. Got to see his shot creation. I also got to see him shoot it well off the catch. He's got deep 3-point range, twitchy athlete. He's got the tools to be a real good defender because he can guard multiple positions. He's quick enough to kind of guard smaller guards, but he's rangy enough and long enough and athletic enough to guard some bigger guards with him being 6'4" with a nice wingspan. But when I saw him with his Team Curry squad in July, Dustin, we were watching Harris, and Dustin, he made a good point. So I want to see if he can facilitate, see how he operates as a point guard, playmaking for everybody else, and set the table. And I thought he did a good job of that as well. Made some good passes to some guys off the move. Played with pace in the open court and in the half court when it was time to get things settled and organized. Didn't force a whole lot. Shot selection was good. But again, also just knew how to get guys open using his own creation, his own athleticism, and make plays and create easy shots for everybody else. So I got to see him both as a scorer for his high school team, kind of do everything for that high school team. And then with Team Curry, where he's got some talent around him, I got to see him facilitate a little bit. So I got to see him play both sides of that coin as well. So I like what I saw from him.
Another guy that we've seen a lot of over the past couple of years, and especially this summer at Lake Point Sports with our Ryze Hoops events, and then also the GBCA team camp, is Devin Hutcherson out of Holy Innocents.
Yeah, and this was my first time seeing Devin. I didn't get a chance to see him during the high school season, but I put my eyes on him a good amount between watching that for Holy Innocents and for Game Elite. And he's another one, just like with Harris. I got to see him more being a lead guy for Holy Innocents, and I got to see him, take over the game with his scoring. Show he can score it in a variety of ways. He's got touch in the mid range. He's pretty nice size guard, strong. He's got a good downhill lean, so it's hard for defenders to control him when he's attacking because he's so strong and athletic. And then when he gets in the paint, he's acrobatic with his finishes with the left hand and the right hand. He's got good touch around the rim, so he can go up and play above the rim and dunk it, or he's got some good touch off the glass and with some floaters. But then with Game Elite, when he's not the lead guy, he's surrounded by a lot of talent on that team. He caught it and shot it well. He cut well. He did a good job moving out the ball. He played the glass well. So a lot of what he would have had to do to impact the game without the ball in his hands for Game Elite, he did a good job of it. So I got to see him, again, just like Harris, be well-rounded and play multiple roles, and I think he did well overall.
And lastly, we're going to talk about Gregory Pops Dunson out of Alexander. This was my first time seeing Gregory play this summer, so he's someone who instantly jumped on my radar.
Yeah, and I got to see Pops early on when I first joined Ryze. Coincidentally, I got to see him at the Jericho Classic, and I liked him then. He had good pace in the pick and roll, really good facilitator. I thought he shot it well when I watched him. And then we fast forward to the summertime, and I get to see him with Alexander, and again in the AAU on the AAU scene. When I saw him, fast forward a couple of months, he looked like he leaned up, got a little taller, got a little tone to his body. So his body looked like he'd been putting in some work. But I got to see him. He moved a lot better from the first time I saw him. Took some bumps. He got a little quicker. He shot it real well off the catch and off the dribble. But he just controlled the game. I got to see him play against a good Wheeler team, who that talent that Wheeler High School has. And I thought Pops was a big reason why that game was close, because he just controlled the game from start to finish. He never let Wheeler get away from Alexander. And the big reason why is because when the team needed a big basket, he made it. Whether it was a three, whether it was get to the free throw line. Again, he shot it well in the mid-range, but he also created easy baskets for everybody else. So he did a really good job of facilitating, knowing when to score for himself, knowing when to set everybody else up, and just control the tempo. It's just a matter of Wheeler had a little bit more talent, but Pop showed that he was able to just keep things stead the tide for Alexander a little bit. And I like overall, from the very first time I saw him to the summertime, his game has matured, his body has matured, and I just think that bodes well going forward.